lake was one of the first things built at Garland Scout Ranch. Milt built it while there was no water in the lake and was able to build it completely, the pilings. Later in the spring of '75, Bud Hallett, Mike Giglio, who was in a sophomore in high school, and Darrell Henderson came out one spring weekend and put the planks on the dock. This white tower was built about the same time, in the spring of 1975. The property was acquired in '72 and was a camporee and some tree planting in '73. 1974, some $600,000 was raised to pay off and to start building at the camp. It was in the summer of '75 the first summer camp started. June, the first day, the troops came in, and it had rained all week. It was very, very muddy. The roads were poor or non-existent at the time. It was quite a thrill. The lake had not filled and was feared that it would not fill, but we had a big storm in May, and the entire lake filled up, 32 acres on one weekend. That the first order of the Arrow Fellowship was done out here in '74 when the lake was dry. The dam, which we are beginning to see, was built in '74. I believe by the Netherton Company. It's quite a dam. It creates a water surface of about 32 acres. At very high water, it extends back up into the woods, and the total coverage is somewhere near 36 to 39 acres of water.
What's wrong? I'm going to fill a name in. This is the non-swimmers. Yeah. And then this is the swimmer. I mean, right. the beginners, and then the...
to my left, is the non-swimmers area. To the right is the beginners area, and then beyond and on out into the lake to the raft is the swimmers area. Type dock that is found in most Boy Scout camps with that kind of a pattern. Lake is a dock that was known as the boating dock, and boating and canoes, and used only for that. No swimming from that. This is stored there. This boat shed has been built since 1990. The tower that you see here, as perhaps mentioned earlier, was built in 1974 or 75, I believe, from some of the materials that came from Camp Yoddesy. The fence is a later addition. The Order of the Arrow put that up some years later. Boy Scout camp swimming areas have to be fenced in from shore to shore of the lake, so that there's only one entrance and one exit. Visit for a little bit. Milt, we've been talking about you. First met this man in the winter of 1974 and '75. He'd been out here for 2 years, I believe, prior to that, and had been involved heavily in the supervision of the construction. He just had come out of the Air Force and came to work for the Norwella Council as the ranger for the new Garland Scout Ranch. If we listen closely, we can hear some conversation about some of the things that have happened out here. Don't count on it. The dining hall at Garland Scout Ranch, Brown Builders, Bossier City, built it under contract in 1975, the spring of 75. They rushed hard, worked hard to finish it up so that we could open for the summer 75 season. It's wood paneled, has cedar trim around with brands of the various campsites so named, Western theme brands, one large fireplace. The medallions that you see around, this particular one over the fireplace is a woven Caddo Lodge emblem, but the camp insignias on the wall, the early patches, were done by Hank Urban, a friend of the camp from away from the camp, who came and visited one day and volunteered to do the camp insignia. The brands are of the campsites, of course, and there are some brand initials up at the top, the first camp director and the scout executive, and I guess the program director's brand is up there. The dining hall is pretty much the same way it was in 75, except for these medallions, merit badges required, and most popular ones for Eagle, and the camping merit badges are portrayed here. Hank Urban and his wife Nita painted those and gave them late 70s and early 80s, well, I guess early 80s. Troops that came to visit the camp and spend a week here were given a 3-foot paddle, and they could take it home or decorate it here, take it home and decorate it and bring it back to the camp. These are some of the banners earned in the inspection program, the Summer Camp National Inspection Program. This camp traditionally has been an A camp and several times has gotten a perfect score. I don't believe it's missed getting an A rating since it's open. Of course, you can count the banners and see it's been, this is 92 and opened in 1975. Jim Wazner's passing by. Jim's kind of the ramrod around in the camping circles right now, and has been for a couple of years. And it's good to see you. Who's that fellow beside you there? Ray was the scout executive back in the 60s. Back in the 60s and just at 70, and he was instrumental in negotiating for the property that this camp is on back in the days when he was the scout executive. Didn't really receive the credit for that, but he is the one that helped to get the ball rolling when he was the scout executive here. Tell me about this patch up there, 1989, the 15-year patch. Did you carve that?
Yes. I take the blame for it.
Those brands look familiar up there.
Well, this year we changed them, as you well know.
Changed the names or changed the brands?
And there's no brands on them now, just all name changes for all the campsites.
My guess is that the brand names will remain in the minds of a lot of people. Those are the brands that are up around the dining hall on the wainscot. Here's Target O, and let's see, Rocking K or Lazy K or Lazy J, Diamond or Block C, and then on around the corner is something else. Can't see that. But, oh, there's an A, and Bar B, and Bar H Bar, and F Bar. Those are some of the original campsite names. Pete Cook, scout executive in 75, as the camp was being built, So much was done around that setting. Young fellow by the name of Ted Henderson did a good bit of the branding on the boards, and he put a brand bar T bar and a bar H bar for Ted Henderson, which is now in the dining hall at the peak at the other end. So Ted will be remembered for his work that day. He was just a small fellow then, about 12, 13 years old. Initials, there's Bar B, standing for Bond, Milt Bond, the camp, and in the middle is FH. Frank Holmes was the first camp director in 1975. And then over here is a box C, standing for Pete Cook, who was the scout executive when the camp opened up.